So the book we read is called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, written by Robert Louis Stevenson. Who was Robert Louis Stevenson? He was a Scottish writer known for his work of adventure and fantasy literature. He is famous for his novel Treasure Island and the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So this work is a novel in the genre of Gothic literature and science fiction. It is known for exploring themes related to human duality, morality, and the dark aspect of the human nature. So the setting of the story is in 19th century in London during the Victorian era, a time characterized by a strict morality and a strong repression of emotion and personal desires. Same themes above of a story are human duality, morality, social hypocrisy, the struggle against temptation, science and ethics, the power of guilt and repentance, the nature of evil, and the search for the truth.
The principal characters in this story are Dr. Henry Jekyll. He is a doctor and scientific who experiments with chemicals to separate the good and bad aspect of his personality. Mr. Edward Hyde. He is the evil counterpart of Dr. Jekyll. He is a small, sinister-looking man who commits vile and violence acts without remorse. Mr. Gabriel John Utterson, he is Dr. Jekyll's liar and one of the main characters in the story. He tries to discover the true being, the relationship between Jekyll and Hyde. Dr. Hasty Lion. He is a former friend of Dr. Jekyll and another doctor. His involvement in the story is key to understanding the events that occur. Mr. Richard Enfield is a cousin of Mr. Utterson and also an important character in the story. It is he who first tells Utterson about Mr. Hyde's strange behavior. The story began with the mysterious behavior of Mr. Hyde, who commits acts of violence without apparent provocation. Attorney Utterson becomes involved in the search for the truth being Hyde and his connection to the respectable Dr. Jekyll. As the story continues, it is discovered that Dr. Jekyll has developed a function that allows him to transform into Mr. Hyde, realizing his malevolence and dark impulse. Jekyll is caught in an internal struggle between his good and evil sides. The story is interesting because it touches on depth and universal themes. At the same time, it has a mysterious plot and analyzing of Victorian society, exploring dark aspects of human psychology and the inherent evil in some individuals. For example, in the book, it is implied that Mr. Hyde takes pleasure in committing malevolent and violent acts. This shows the satisfaction he derives from his evil, which underscores the idea of incoherent evil in some individuals.